Welcome back to another episode of 103.5, The Hop, formerly known as WBOB. We are here actually with the AV cart from the show. We're going to be diving into more props, friends. We're going to be diving into some special effects, friends, and we're even going to maybe get to go up into the rafters today. We're exploring all things tech this week on episode 5. I'm your host, Burke Swanson, also known as James Hopper, Don't Call Me Junior, over here at the Marquee Theater in Stranger Things: The First Shadow. Thanks for joining us today. We've got all sorts of things to dive into, like I was saying, but first, let's check out this one and only AV cart. We don't have OBC member Juan Carlos, who plays Bob Newby, but we do have the one and only Reed. Let's check it out.
My name is Reed, and I'm head props of Stranger Things on Broadway.
Welcome. Now, what do we have here, Reed?
We have Bob Newby's famous AV cart for Hawkins High AV Club.
Wowza. Oh, we're getting the full turn action, too.
Gorgeous 360.
The gorgeous 360. Look at you behind the board. Have you ever thought about being a DJ?
I have now.
It's so detailed.
What is
cool.
What is your favorite part about this piece?
The thing I love about this, which is also kind of one of the things I love about the Dad Machine, is it's so quintessentially Hawkins. It's so quintessentially Stranger Things. It was built by children, but genius children, too, with like found garage objects. And so I think that was the coolest thing about all the props in the show is it's all found period objects, but it's high quality, right? So you have to put together these pieces that are so intricate, but are still Broadway.
So working as props, right? You came into our show. What's the difference between setting a show up from a props perspective and coming into a show that's already been running and making sure that it stays, at the same quality?
Yeah, so the biggest part is, I think, when you tech a show, you are there from the very beginning, and you are growing and you're learning with the piece and evolving as it goes. And I do more of that end of thing. I do more production props from the ground up. And so it's been a very big challenge, but a really big gift learning how to run a show this large. The quantity of things you have to learn, the traffic of everything that you have to learn. You know how many people are backstage at any given time. There are so many variables that it's a really wonderful challenge to jump on a show this big.
What's it like having to work on a show that is so explicitly collaborative and ensemble-based, even in the crew side?
Best challenge. I think that's my favorite thing about this show, is that as props, people don't think of props as sort of this singular thing. Like, you're dealing with the sort of backstage choreography of passing off hand props, like books and pencils or clipboards or something, and that is part of it, but for this show, it is so much more involved with everyone. You get to be friends with every department. I am basically in charge of blood on this show. I'm in charge of firearms on this show. We have exploding rat tanks with video and sound and audio and special effects built in. And so it's we have snapping cats that snap with a light cue on the board. So it really involves every single piece of theater, and it is, I think, the coolest challenge to be able to jump on a show like this, because it is far from your normal singular department job where you can just sort of keep your head down. Everyone is talking all the time, and everyone is supporting each other all the time, and it's a beautiful thing.
When you're outside of the building, how do you stay sane when you're doing an HO week?
This week, I don't really. You have to take your naps when you can get them.
For context, we are doing tech for the we're doing tech for the year 2 cast, who we'll try to meet next week.
Yeah, exactly. Now that we're getting some nice weather outside, getting as much of that vitamin D that we can. Going on long walks and trying not to see theater that I'm not really interested in seeing.
Sure,
trying to get out of the darkness a little bit, while supporting my friends, of course.
Well, there we go. Of course.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, for somebody who is interested in props or who doesn't know anything about props, what to you is the thing when you were getting into this career that said, oh, this is exactly where I want to be? What's that thing that hooked you in and is still the thing that makes you so interested in this craft?
Yeah. The collaboration, the fact that you do work with so many people, and also the mentality that no is never the answer in doing a show. A designer, a creative, a director comes to you with an idea, and that will always be a conversation. There is no conversation that starts with no It starts with, we're going to figure this out, and let's see what our options are, given the budget, given the time, given the resources. But, for a show like this, the beauty really lies in its simplicity, but you would never tell that going in and watching it from the front. It looks like the most insane, overstimulating, over-involved process, but it's really just a bunch of simple solutions solved in, an evolution to create one really beautiful, complex masterpiece.
I really appreciate your time and those words too. That's a great setting intention before our show today. So thanks, Reid. Appreciate you.
Props is tops.
Props is tops. There we go. The one and only Stacey Joe.
Hello.
It's I, Burke Swanson. Oh, look. Already,
Door open for
SFX has got the door opener. Stacey Joe, please tell everybody your name and what you do on the show.
Hi, I'm Stacey Joe Johnston. I am one of the special effects subs here at Stranger Things.
Thank you so much for being here. You're a rock star. I love your hat, by the way.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much.
Cheers to that.
This is Mr. Marcus makes these, one of the special effects guys here.
Fantastic. Well, I think two things here. One, as somebody who is a sub, what's it like stepping into a show or a number of shows and having to uphold what has been set as the standard for those shows?
This show specifically was wonderful. We have a fantastic support team. Both Gabby and Marcus normally run the show. It's Gabby's track, but both of them were very helpful in training. There's a very long training process since there is a lot of effects in the show.
Yeah.
And any questions I've ever had, they are extremely supportive and helpful with helpful things.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously when we're like setting things on fire and blowing things up, there's lots to keep very specific. Do you find that there is something that you are looking for across the board, no matter what kind of effect it is, that is like the number one thing when working in SFX we have to keep in account?
Across the board, safety.
Yay, safety!
If it's not safe, we're not going to do it. The end. The safest fire is no fire. So we do everything that we can to prepare for effects with actors, with any kind of set pieces or anything that need to be flame treated. But we just keep completely open communication as much as possible and keep things as safe as possible and the same across the board.
Yeah, I mean, that consistency is so difficult when we're doing 8 shows a week we're closing in on 400 shows. Mm-hmm. Now we're about to have a whole new cast of people dive in on doing it.
It's very exciting. We're basically back in tech, like retraining a whole new group of people with these effects. Yeah. So it's actually very exciting.
I think I'm looking at a course over here of just all of these lovely boxes that you have laminated. Do you have a favorite fun box?
I mean, I have a personal snack box that is my favorite.
That is the most important for sure.
That is the most important. I like the bubble box.
The bubble box.
There's bubble fluid.
Hello, bubble fluid.
Yeah.
Cheers, hallelujah.
Just very fun.
You're getting ready for your first show of the week. Yes. What's the number one thing you need to do to get your mind right?
Make sure all the special effects that for pre-show, make sure they're all our day boxes are loaded, that we've got everything that we need when we go out. I double check the cast list for the day. Is there any differences that I need to like check in with a certain actor? And just make sure my brain is here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you keep eating your dinner and enjoy that.
Great.
Cheers. Thanks, Stacey Joe.
Thank you.
Bye. Whoa. We are very high up in the Marquee Theater checking out two of my favorite people here. We've got Hunter and Zach. Hunter, will you please introduce yourself and what you do? Zach, with you as well.
Yeah, Hunter Keene. I'm a carpenter, so I work for the Marriott Marquis. I stay at the theater, so I've been here for over 5 years now, doing a bunch of different shows. So basically on this show, it's a lot of the special effects illusions and the moving in the scenery. So our job is to basically be invisible. Most of the job is to stay invisible and hide things and make the magic happen. So Zach and I are on stage left.
Beautiful, Zach.
So I'm Zach Fivo. I'm the head carpenter on the show. I come with the production. I don't work for the building directly. So I came with the show into the building and integrated it into what we're doing. And I clip all the performers for the flights in the show. I do a couple different illusions with Hunter and all the other carpenters, and I kind of manage different things backstage. So during the run of performance.
I mean, I think you two just brought up a very interesting thing that maybe people don't realize is that there is a difference. Just because you're on the crew of a show doesn't mean that you are a part of the building, right?
Sure.
Like Hunter, you and your family are in all sorts of different aspects of this building, and you have been here for, as you were saying, 5 years, but even longer for some of them. What is that like when you stay with the building versus coming with a show?
Yeah, it's interesting dynamics. My father's been in the building for over 10 years now, so he took over a while back. So with every new show comes a new set of people and personalities. And I mean, the first couple months of the show are you're learning about the physical equipment, you're learning about the people, and then the combination of the people and the equipment. So that's why it's interesting to be in the process of swapping over the cast, because you're meeting new people and seeing how tracks that have existed for a year will change with the different dynamics that come with personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach, how many shows at a time have you worked on when you're traveling with a show specifically?
I've toured on different shows and I work for different shows in the city, so I could be anywhere from like loading in one show and working on this show at night. And I really enjoy working on a bunch of different things because it kind of keeps everything fresh. And it's just a lot of fun. Working for the production side is a little bit different because I'll start in the shop and I'll start planning on the paper side of everything with CAD and making sure everything can fit to the building that I'm going into. So when we start that process, it's way early on before they even see anything at the theater.
I was about to say, I mean, like when we're talking about a show this big, right? Like one of the biggest technical shows that's ever
about
happened.
A month before we even entered the theater.
Wow.
Drawing at the shop and looking at different sizing and fitment. And then the first time I met Hunter was actually a couple weeks in to the theater because he was upstairs for the whole first half of the load in and I was downstairs laying it out. So we didn't actually cross paths until a couple weeks in at like a coffee break.
And to give context to this is all how much time before the actors walked into the space?
2.5 months, maybe 3 months all the way from like starting in the building until actors hit the floor.
It's absolutely
even further back while we were still doing The Wiz, which was 2 shows before The Stranger Things came here. We had people surveying, we had the shop in here, engineers looking at everything, measuring, going up and ripping drywall off to measure the thickness of steel to make sure that everything could be supported. So our job as the house crew was to kind of we know the building the best, and Zach knew the show the best. So then it's like the meeting of those two things. So you have two forces that need to come together to fit a show that was designed in this void, and then a building that exists for however long this has been here, and to make those two things work together harmoniously, or
as harmoniously as possible. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't certainly help when you have a massive hotel sitting on top of this theater. So everything that happens here in the theater directly affects the structural integrity of the space, right? So how much is that having to work with a hotel versus you all? We have like a store downstairs where sometimes backstage we can hear bumping music of like some activation event,
We're lucky enough here that because we're in the Marquee and it's a hotel, that the building is newer than some of the other theaters on Broadway. So the backstage areas and everything feel a little fresher.
Yeah.
And the building structure is a little newer and we can get to those spots a little easier. But you're right, the Levi's store is downstairs and we had to actually go into the store and look through the ceiling of the store to make sure something in our basement was going to support all the way through and translate all the way through the structure of the building to make sure we were okay to put these pieces in.
Zach actually for the first time recently saw the show after almost a year of running it. So
wow, what was that like?
So cool. It was so worth it. It was so cool to see what we pull off every night and to see it in a different light. And now I know when I do certain things backstage, I know what it looks like as the full entire effect from the front, and it looks completely different. It's totally amazing.
It sounds different too, because there's a lot of audio that is pushed into the house that is not put in the backstage monitor. So there's an entire soundscape that we don't hear. So it sounds like awkward silence to us, but it's actually this like beautiful moment of suspense going on out there. So I've seen it 3 times now. I'll see it again.
Hunter can't stop.
I can't wait to see the
with 5 more shows, Hunter, you'll be considered a super fan. So heads up.
I don't want that badge.
Yeah, we have plenty of folks outstage who are very excited. But thank you so much for your time and thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for
Cheers.
being here.
for a while, this is the running tally of all the shows that have been here, but he hasn't updated it since Margaritaville. That's one of the cooler things about climbing around.
Okay, folks, very special treat here. We have the one and the only. This is truly, I've said this so many times in this vlog, I'm finding out that's my little stem, the one and the only, but this is the one and the only. Please introduce yourself and what you do for the show.
Hello, I'm Kevin Keene, and I am the automation fly operator, or the fly automation operator, which involves most of the things that go in and out, including one of the biggest puppets in Broadway history.
Our friend Mindy. Our friend Mindy.
The Mind Flayer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you have an incredible office here. Talk to me what we got going on back here.
So I have two operating consoles. This is the main console. Each one of these boxes represents one winch. One thing that moves in and out, whether it be a light ladder, a Hawkins wall piece, the LED wall, the mid-stage blinder, downstage blinder. Each one of those boxes represents one moving winch. So during the show, the stage managers, there's 4 cue lights here.
Yeah.
The stage managers will cue. As we see my cues here, I have a red and a red-blue. There's places where I have a red, blue, yellow, and green, where 4 cues are going to come consecutively as we operate the show. So the stage manager will warn us on a cue. The cues are set up. This is the actual, let me go to the first cue of the show. So we would be set up, and this says downstage blinder out. So when the stage manager throws the red cue light, I hit the button, and the downstage blinder goes out, and we begin the show.
I mean, so much of this, obviously when we think about ropes and counterbalance and everything else, it's all about weight. How do you even begin to fathom how much weight it's going to take to counter it? Is it just by piecemealing, putting it together, or is there a strict science to it?
It is piecemeal and putting it together. What happens is they start in the shop maybe a year before it ever comes into the theater, as long as a year before, sometimes more, sometimes a little less. And piece by piece, they will rig and estimate how much it's going to weigh and how much weight it's going to take, and then that will be accumulated on a list, and when we are all done, we'll have a list of how much everything individually weighs.
Holy cow.
Everything individually, and then show totals. So that's how we keep track, is, bites at a time.
Yeah. I mean, compared to other shows, I mean, as you were talking about, we have possibly the largest puppet on Broadway.
Yes.
When we're talking about weight and managing of that, and not only that, but then how do you upkeep it, what is the hardest part of your job for this show?
I think the hardest part of my job is this show reminds me of Spider-Man in its technical size. We have a lot of things moving quickly at high weights, as you say. And so keeping track and watching all of that to make sure, I mean, we keep learning things as we go along. We've run into a couple of incidents, and you watch the shiny objects as they come along, and you watch what you can watch until something else says, no, you need to watch me too.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. And so once you know you need to watch that, then you start watching that, and you just, you watch everything as best you can until something else pops up that says, no, watch me too.
Sure. And I mean, this is obviously, being a flyman is one of the staples of being in the theater. And as somebody who has a whole family of folks here at the Marquee Theater, it's the Keene House, the Keene Theater. What is it about this show do you think celebrates your craft, celebrates your art form?
I like the technical interlocking mechanisms of the show. We have magic, we have technical things, we have sets. So much nowadays is a lot of dance review in front of a video wall, and sets have kind of fallen by the wayside. This is very much opposite that.
Yeah.
We have a 65,000 pound superstructure that's been set in the center of the stage, and that contains all the really special effects like the gantry, the attic, the patty descent mechanism, and all those things are really a high-tech sort of thing for this show, and that's what sets this one apart. Is shows have been getting smaller. This is not a small show.
Absolutely, it turned it all the way around, all the way around. What do you feel like is the thing that you're hoping actors and people who are not within your field appreciate about what you're doing? Because you have an incredible machine here, you have the ropes and everything else. Maybe it goes over people's heads. How do you focus your energy in making sure that the story that's happening on stage is told as best through your hands as anybody else's?
I think just by what we've spoken about already, making sure that we take care of things, making sure that things work properly, making sure that the show is operating properly, because I don't want to be noticed. I don't want anybody to know that I'm here. That's the best thing one can hope for. I was a sound engineer for many, many years, and the best thing you can hope for is no mention at all. You wanted to be seamless. That's how the technical portion of a show should go. It should be seamless. I do tours, I talk to people, I bring people to give backstage tours. That's when you tip your hat and you show a little bit of the magic. But up until that point, it really is just, you want it to be seamless. You don't want, if somebody comes down and sits in the audience and say, I never knew any of that went on, that's an A+ for us.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
That is the dream.
And as I can tell you, being out at the stage door, the amount of people that just go, I have no idea how to even begin comprehending what I just saw. I think that's a testament to everybody's work here.
It really is. It really is. And it's all of us. It really is all of us. The cast is an amazing cast. You guys have so much energy. Night after night after night after night. That spirit, that investment, it's felt. It's felt in the show. It's sensed. And I can feel that up here, which makes me feel part of the show. It just makes me feel prouder because everybody, it makes it a team. It is a collaborative art. There's no doubt about it. It takes every single one of us to put on a show.
Okay. That is another episode of 103.5, The Hop. I've been your host, Burke Swanson, a.k.a. Jim Hopper, don't call me Junior. Thanks for stopping through Hawkins. Shout out to all of our crew friends, our cool crew friends who made this episode possible. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you hanging before we end this episode today. I've got some very special songs from the one and only Sageed Carter. Sageed Carter is the one behind Club Carter. You can find her on YouTube. You can find her on SoundCloud. I think she may even have a Patreon. This person has been how I have been waking up all the time. She's in the Netherlands. She's got great style. She does, it's no AI music, true blue, passion of the arts. She has brought some songs for us, very special here in Hawkins. So shout out to her. We've got first up Dreaming by Ghost Woman. That's followed by Hold Me in a New Way, Elaine Howley. Next up we have Amanaz. Amanaz's song Kayla My Friend. And the last song by Bibio is Off Goes the Light. Truly, 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 Club Carter is where you need to be on YouTube. I know you're watching those Kyoto walkthroughs. I know you're watching the little people with the dog and the little, ukulele. Look, this is where you need to be going. Go check out Club Carter. Thanks so much for supporting the show. And shout out to all of our crew friends once more. Next week, we got a very special episode. We're going to be meeting some of our new friends here in Hawkins. That's right. We have 1 week left. It's the end of the month for our year one cast. They're going to be saying goodbye, but we got lots of friends who are coming to say hi. So jump in with us next week. Lots of love. Peace out.